Barbara, family, and friends, what a privilege for me to share some thoughts about David. He is a giant in my life, a mentor, and a friend who continues to speak into my life with all that he's introduced me to. And I am not unique. Many of you celebrating his life today experienced his teaching and love. But he was unique as a passionate pursuant of others. The co-founder of Airbnb used a phrase, passionate weirdos, to describe his staff as they built the company. And David and I used that term to describe our interest in friendship and people. Thank the Lord that David was a passionate weirdo. I want to specifically share with you about friendship today, how David was a friend, what we can learn from him, and how we can apply it to our everyday living. St. Thomas Aquinas wrote that there is nothing more on earth to be prized than true friendship. And David practiced and offered true friendship. True friendship begins with the pursuit of others, not waiting to be pursued. When I first met David, he invited me into relationship by reading books together. And he gave the invitation. He was the inviter. He understood Chesterton's quote in Orthodoxy when he wrote, "How much larger your life would be if yourself could be smaller in it. If you could really look at other men with common curiosity and pleasure, if you could see them walking as they were in their sunny selfishness and their virile indifference. You would begin to be interested in them because they were not interested in you. You would break out of this tiny and tawdry theater in which your own little plot's always being played out and find yourself under a freer sky and a street full of splendid strangers." He was not afraid to engage with strangers. And because of this, many of us former strangers are now friends celebrating him today. David knew that the purpose of friendship was to help others, to meet a need, to help the individual grow. The influence of a friend, very great in making our characters better, wrote Cicero. The purpose of friendship is so we might bear one another's burdens and help each other grow in faith and virtue. And as you reflect on right now, I am confident you are recalling how his influence improved your life. Cicero also wrote in his treatises on friendship, friendship can exist only between good men, and we mean by the good, those whose actions and lives leave no question as to their honor, purity, equity, and liberality, who are free from greed, lust, and violence, and who have the courage of their convictions. David had the courage of his convictions. He was not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes. With every question and discussion, he was leading us to the cross and to take action on what we had learned. Whether you were reading Pascal or Nietzsche, the Apostle Paul or Joseph Campbell, he was teaching us to read and learn under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. David had his friends seek wisdom using the power of questions. He asked us questions so we could find the answers. He did not tell, demand, or insist, but through his questions, he guided us to conclusions. It's a practice he learned from the book Consolation of Philosophy by Boethius. Boethius, in his deepest and darkest hour, imagines philosophy coming down to him in his prison cell, and she just asks questions. And as Boethius responds to her questions, he absorbs the truth of his difficult situation and the overall purpose of life. David asked questions to guide us, and out of a genuine curiosity. David lived out friendship with loving those around him. He gave of his talents and his time, and for nearly 2 decades, he and I met almost every week. He always had an agenda surrounding a book, but he was interested in my life, my family, and my work. He would call just to see how I was when I was out traveling and on the road, and making sure I stayed focused and committed to my faith, my family, my friends, and my labor. He loved me as I know he loved you in his pursuit of each of you. Aristotle writes, "The truest friendship is that which loves more than it is loved." Aren't we fortunate to know him? David introduced me to a unique kind of friendship, the democracy of the dead. He would say If it's not ancient, it gets old fast. The democracy of the dead is Chesterton's poetic way of saying that wisdom, beliefs, experience of past generations deserves a voice in present decisions. Rather than dismissing tradition as outdated or irrelevant, he argues that tradition is a form of democracy. It gives the dead a vote in how we live today. David would say to me frequently, some of my greatest friends are dead guys. And David still has a voice in our lives and how we live today. We have his writings on how to be a tent maker in the faith, how elders should lead. We have his writings on the Trinity, which he believed to be so important to understanding God. We have his spoken words into each of our lives, and we have his example of friendship lived out so well. And we have the lexicon of the ancient authors that he introduced us all to. David would have us leave today and act upon what we've heard. May what you've heard today make you ready to live out friendship in the example that David gave us. Kermit introduced me to Simone Weil while we were walking the streets of Paris, when we were near her apartment. I love what she says in her letters in Waiting for God. She offers the best line in understanding our friendship with David Bertch as we move forward. She writes, when two beings who are not friends are near each other, there is no meeting. And when friends who are far apart, there is no separation. My love to Barbara and your family.